Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Black USA Crypto News. I'm your host, Kamal Hubbard, and we have made it to another weekend. So, thanks for that. And thank you for joining me as I run down this week's news stories dealing with cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web3, artificial intelligence, metaverse, and everything, like I said, under that uh, umbrella. So let me start by saying that I want to give shouts out to everyone here in the Black USA News family. Starting off with Emmy nominated host Donnie Glover. So you want to check out the Donnie Glover show. Comes on just about every day here on Black USA News. Also, check out on the weekends the Blackout live from New York with Tajmir. She typically comes on a little bit later on earlier on Saturdays, excuse me, than I do. I'm in the West Coast, so I should have said I come on a little bit later after Kashmir. She does a great show, covers a lot of news stories and topics. Also on the weekends is 60 Minutes in Black with the fine gentleman Michael Haney. I've had an opportunity to be on his show a couple times, and I've always enjoyed it. Mondays, check out Shared Space with Quita and Chap. They're doing great things in the Baltimore area. And, I've had Quita on my previous show and had a great time having a conversation with her. And I've also been on Shared Space. And something I heard recently is that Chap is going to be on this new Moesha show that's going to be coming out very soon here. So, be on the lookout and tune in for Chap when he's not on Shared Space. And of course, on Thursdays, check out the Black Business Roundtable with Doug Blacksher and Dr. Ashley and all the other great content creators here on Black USA News. You may also want to check out STEM City USA with Dr. Tyrone Taburn. He talks about the Web3 experience, especially in the metaverse. And this is really something that our community, I think, should pay attention to because it's a way to teach kids really anywhere they are and from a location standpoint using the metaverse, which you don't need to have those $1,000 Oculus glasses to engage with the metaverse. It can actually be very, very accessible, and I'm sure Dr. Taborn can talk about that. And when it comes to STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math disciplines, we need that more and more in our community. So hats off to Dr. Taborn for once again trying to make that accessible within the community. And also check out my latest podcast of Crypto with Kamal. I have been having an ongoing conversation with Dr. Paul Viotti, who is an associate professor and public administration program coordinator at Chico State University. And we talk about generally the macroeconomic condition in the United States and how it affects everyday people here in the US with this what seems to be ongoing story with inflation and how it's hitting our households. So we're trying to have a very relatable conversation so that people can pick up some things and help them in their daily life. And actually, I'm having a follow up conversation that will be posted soon where we talk about some very, very valuable situation as we look at the international economic condition. But then we kind of turn more to cryptocurrency and trading. At this time, I'd like to say none of what I have to say is meant to be financial, legal, tax advice, or even life advice. um, but with that said, please do your own research. And, this is for informational purposes only. So maybe you can use some of this and maybe it can help you with your bottom line. But do seek out credentialed, licensed, financial tax and legal professionals on some of these matters where you may need them most. Last but certainly not least, you should check out the Cage Chain newsletter. It is a midweek collection of news that goes out to a subscriber list, and we're about to hit our 250th weekly edition of Cage Chain. And so this has been an ongoing thing for quite some years now. And so I'd like to thank all my subscribers. I'd like to thank some of my new subscribers. And feel free to check out the newsletter. Like I said, it's completely free and has a lot of valuable information. So, uh, also check out the folks on the crawler down there. We have been supporting so many community initiatives. So, also shout out to Jamie Miner. Him and I had a chance to sit in together on Michael Haney's show a few weeks back, and glad to see you in the comments section, Mr. Miner. Looking forward to hooking up with you very soon and just chopping up some things in the industry and talking turkey. So, that said, you can subscribe to the Cage Chain newsletter at www.cagechain.io. So, speaking of the Cage Chain newsletter, let's check out this week's edition of the news of the week in Cage Chain. We're talking a lot about municipal currency referendum. So, using digital currencies on a local level for direct democracy, decolonization, and decentralization. This is very strong stuff, and not a lot of people like to hear it, but it's definitely a perspective that needs to be shared, and I think it can empower people wherever they sit. Once again, in wherever their local community is. And you're going to see a lot more around this in the very near future. So stay tuned. And if you want to get it first, sign up for the Cage Chain newsletter. One of the top stories this week was regarding Arthur Hayes, who is a someone in the industry who is very polarizing. He was one of the founders of the BitMEX exchange, which made people a lot of money, but lost people a lot of money. And let's check out this story here that comes to us from Decrypt. So let me bring this up here for you all right here. So once again, Arthur Hayes has been a blockchain vet, and he says if you're still in the traditional banking system, be prepared to take an L. If we want crypto to be another financial system, people really need to understand what we're trying to replace or improve upon, Mr. Hayes said. So here's a picture of Mr. Hayes. Definitely, he's done some great things. And like I said, there's some people who do not like him for many reasons. Like I said, he's been around for quite some time. So he's also known as the original crypto bad boy. And his writings are very, very interesting. But let me read the story from Decrypt and straight from Mr. Hayes' mouth. The original crypto bad boy, Arthur Hayes, still has a bone to pick with what he calls the broken banking system. Hayes, the founder of the cryptocurrency exchange BitMEX, said he sees crypto as an important asset for consumers to own as a hedge against risk from the traditional banking system. I don't care if you're a capitalist or a communist. Everybody put on a lot of debt. We've passed the point where that debt is becoming useful, Hayes said during an interview for a recent episode of the GM from Decrypt podcast. And therefore, everyone is going to take an L unless they get some crypto or some gold, some hard asset that's outside of the traditional banking system. Hayes founded BitMEX in 2014 and reaped his rewards for being so early in the industry. Yeah, he was definitely an early industry pioneer. But in 2021, the Department of Justice charged him with violating the U.S. Bank Secrecy Act for failing to comply with anti-money laundering programs at BitMEX. He pleaded guilty, and after serving 2 years probation and 6 months of home detention, he has relocated to Singapore. At that time, Hayes continued writing long form essays about cryptocurrency and blockchain adoption. He says his motivations are to educate people about how crypto works and why it's valuable as an alternative to the traditional financial institutions. So, um, he has a lot to say, yeah. And Jamie's right here. And I'm just going to show his comment. Arthur Hayes is worth 500 million. He's smart for getting in early, and he's made his mark on the industry. So very true indeed, Jamie. And yeah, I have a lot of respect for Arthur, and I think he's right on this. Whether you're a capitalist or a communist, with what's going on now in the traditional banking system, we need to have our own ways of checking that system. And I know that this recent downturn has caused a lot of people to question crypto, especially with FTX. But with what's going on now, we are also starting to once again ask a lot of questions. So that brings us to our next story here that I want to share with you guys, which comes to us from Reuters. And this one, bear with me, is the FDIC prepares to replace First Republic under receivership. So a lot of people may have heard this week that the FDIC is going to take First Republic Bank, which is another San Francisco, California-based bank, into receivership. So this came to us once again yesterday out of Reuters. The U.S. Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation is preparing to place First Republic Bank under receivership imminently. A person familiar with the matter said on Friday, sending shares of the lender down nearly 50% in extended trading. The U.S. banking regulator decided the troubled regional lender's position has deteriorated and there is no more time to pursue a rescue through the private sector. The source told Reuters, requesting anonymity because the matter is confidential. Okay, I'll let that speak for itself. U.S. officials have coordinated urgent talks to rescue the lender in recent days as private sector efforts led the bank's advisors to have yet to reach a deal, according to three sources familiar with the situation. The FDIC, Treasury Department, and Federal Reserve are among government bodies that have orchestrated meetings with financial companies about putting together a solution for the troubled lender, two sources said. The FDIC asked banks, including JP Morgan Chase and PNC Financial Services, to submit final bids for First Republic by Sunday, Bloomberg News reported on Saturday. The banking regulator reached out to banks late Thursday, seeking indications of interest, including a proposed price and estimated cost to the agency's deposit insurance fund, the report said. The FDIC said in an email, "We would not comment or confirm whether we are bidding an open institution in response to request for comment." So, there is so much to say here. And this also follows up in a lot of the stories that I have been bringing to you here at Black USA News about bank failures and with, in particular, regional banks' exposure, especially to commercial real estate. Now, I'm not exactly sure how the books look for First Republic, and you know, they definitely look to be in trouble. And I'm not sure, once again, how much exposure they have to commercial real estate, but if you look and go to downtown San Francisco, go to downtown Oakland, some of the largest cities here in the Bay Area, there are a lot of commercial not bankruptcies, excuse me, but a lot of vacancies in those commercial spaces. So, um, so no wonder once again why First Republic is in quite a bit of trouble. So there is another story I wanted to share with you guys here, and this one comes to us from. Let me just get this together here. Uh, this comes to us from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Um, and a Federal Reserve report faults Silicon Valley Bank executives and the Fed itself in the bank's failure. So the Federal Reserve is starting to take some degree of accountability in Silicon Valley Bank's failure, which is very interesting. It's a very telling story. The report also pointed out underlying cultural issues at the Fed where supervisors were unwilling to be hard on bank management when they saw growing problems. So, this story once again came out of Washington and was updated today and came through the Associated Press. The Federal Reserve blamed last month's collapse of Silicon Valley Bank on poor management, watered down regulations, and lacks oversight by its own staffers, and said the industry needs stricter policing on multiple fronts to prevent future bank failures. The Fed was highly critical of its own role in the bank's failure in a report compiled by Michael Barr, the Fed's chief regulator, and released on Friday. As Silicon Valley Bank grew rapidly in 2018, banking supervisors were slow to recognize problems that eventually contributed to the bank's downfall, including an increasing amount of uninsured deposits and inadequate safeguards against a sudden change in interest rates. Once those problems were identified, supervisors appeared unwilling to press the bank's management to address the issues, the report said. The passive approach stemmed from actions taken by Congress and the Fed in 2018 and 2019 that lightened rules and regulations for banks with less than 250 billion in assets, the report concluded. Both Silicon Valley Bank and New York-based Signature Bank, which also failed last month, had assets below that level. The changes increased the burden on regulators to justify the need for supervisory action, the report said. In some cases, the changes also led to slower action by supervisory staff and reluctance to escalate issues. A separate report from the Federal Deposit Insurance Company, the FDIC, said the failure of Signature Bank was likely fallout from the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. The FDIC also found its own regulatory deficiencies, notably insufficient staffing, to adequately supervise Signature Bank, which was based in New York. The agency also took a light handed approach to regulation, the report founded. So, let's just see what I didn't see in this report is anything pointing to woke banking as a cause for the collapse of these banks. What I did see is an inability or you know lack of wherewithal from regulators to step in, as well as Trump era banking deregulations that made banks uh, less regulated by these regulators. So, it was really government intervention from the Trump administration and lack of government intervention from the regulators to come in and do something. Uh, doesn't sound like woke bankers to me in those reports, guys. So I don't know. What do you think? Why don't you hit the comment section and tell me what you think about this? Because those woke banks and all those woke ideas in terms of approaches to banking just really have yet to kind of come through. So, okay, guys. Well, let me stop with the jokes here and get back to the news, if you do not mind. And so, when we want to talk again about banking and where things are, especially from a government perspective, I want to share this latest news story with you. And this one comes to us once again from Decrypt and, oh, excuse me, not Decrypt, Crypto Slate. And it comes to us with insights from Glassnode. And this story is entitled "The US Government Holds $6 billion Worth of Bitcoin," according to Glassnode data. Judging from its precedents, the US government could potentially sell off the Bitcoin within the next few years. So the US government has clearly a large amount of Bitcoin in its coffers. Most of it is, from my understanding, is seized from criminal and enforcement action. So let me just read the story to you so we can get to the bottom of this. The United States government is one of the most significant Bitcoin holders in the world, holding 205,514 Bitcoin, worth $6 billion, according to Glassnode data. Reflexivity Research co founder Will Clemente noted that the US government acquired its BTC through seizures. Okay, yeah, maybe I was right about that. For context, the US Department of Justice seized 3.6 billion of Bitcoin connected to the 2016 Bitfinex hack last year. Before that, the government took 70,000 BTC from Ross Ulbricht when it brought down the Silk Road. The US government's substantial BTC holding places it ahead of whales like MicroStrategy, which has spent over $4 billion to acquire 140,000 Bitcoin over the years. Meanwhile, the largest Bitcoin holder is the pseudonymous creator of the Bitcoin network, Satoshi Nakamoto, with 1 million BTC. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust follows him with 650,000 BTC. So Grayscale is a very large institutional investor in Bitcoin, needless to say. Others on this list include exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, and Bitfinex. So, what would the US government do with its Bitcoin? Judging by its precedents, the US government would likely sell off the digital assets in the next few years. In March, the US government filed a memo with the Southern District of New York showing it sold 9,861 Bitcoin for 215.5 million dollars. The memo revealed that the sold Bitcoin was part of its assets seized from the Silk Road marketplace. The court filing further hinted that the government would still sell more BTC before the end of the year. Earlier this week, rumors emerged that the government was selling part of these assets. Meanwhile, many industry players have criticized the government's penchant for selling, pointing out that it could have made more money by holding. For instance, the US government sold 29,657 Bitcoin for about $18 million in 2014. Today, that same asset would be worth almost 900 million. So, very interesting takes right there, folks. And, it is very, very interesting to see the government's position when it comes to holding Bitcoin. So, what do you guys think about this? Do you think they should just sell it all in a fire sale, no matter what the price is? Um, you know, Maybe an idea would be to, maybe issue Bitcoin for as tax refunds. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head, guys. I'm just thinking that might be something kind of cool, but who knows? I could be totally wrong here. Uh, so something here that I want to see if I can share. I'm not sure if I can here, but can I? Oh, maybe is this it? So yes, the government has, the sec or a very large position in Bitcoin. And when they're holding Bitcoin, they tell you it's a joke. But when you sell your Bitcoin, remember it's a taxable asset, guys. So I don't know. Maybe that's not so funny. Who knows? I thought it was just tongue in cheek. So let me get back to the news here. I'm going to stop joking around and once again move to the next story here. All right. And this is coming to us from payments.com. And this story is dealing with Mastercard. So Mastercard unveils standards to verify interactions using blockchain networks. The new Mastercard crypto credential is meant to ensure that financial institutions, governments, brands, and crypto organizations are meeting defined standards for the types of activities they would like to pursue in Web3 environments, the company said in a Friday press release. Setting up and scaling trusted ecosystems to enable commerce is not new at Mastercard, said Raj Damadaharian, Executive Vice President of Digital Asset and Blockchain Products and Partnerships at Mastercard. We've done this for years in payments, pioneering innovation in identity verification and global standards. We look forward to bringing decades of experience to this space to enhance trust and work with broader industry and governments to enable further innovation. The first use case test of the Mastercard crypto credential will focus on enabling transfers between United States and Latin America and the Caribbean corridors. In this project, the firm has teamed up with Lyrium, Bit2Me, Mercado, Bitcoin, and Uphold, according to the press release. Our test will aim to enhance verification in non-fungible tokens, NFTs, ticketing, enterprise, and other payment solutions. For these, Mastercard is partnering with Aptos Labs, Ava Labs, Polygon, and the Solano Foundation to extend the program to its developers in their ecosystems, the press release said. So just to kind of skip a little bit, Mastercard has found that 60% of consumers were interested in seeing their bank offer crypto services, the executive vice president said in an interview back in October. Crypto is entering a maturity cycle where more and more consumers are interested in investing in it as an asset class. So, something I want to pull out of this story that I think is important is the partnerships on the blockchain side that Mastercard has made. Aptos Lab, Ava, Polygon, and Solana. So definitely keep those networks in mind when you may or may not think about trusted networks when it comes to this space. All right, guys, I want to share so much more, but I'm going to begin to cut it short here because I have a special announcement I want to share with you here, and I don't want to waste too much time. So, all right, here, this one is coming to us once again from Crypto Slate. And this is a very important story that also came out of the Cage Chain newsletter. So I want you guys to check it out. Tell me what you think in the comments about it. And this is just once again, an interesting story. The OpenX CEO exposes crypto industry's toxic culture and discrimination. The crypto community attributes the root cause of online abuse to Lamb's affiliation with 3AC and CoinFlex. So, OpenX or OPNX CEO Leslie Lamb posted a lengthy tweet calling for true equality between all people, regardless of sex or race. I've experienced firsthand the sexism, racism, and slander that runs rampant through crypto communities. However, some in the crypto communities dismissed her comments as an irrelevant and a non-issue. In a message posted on April 25th, Lamb called for a change in how female CEOs are treated, especially in the crypto space, which is supposed to represent ideals such as uplifting, disadvantaged, and leveling the financial playing field. However, based on her personal experience, Lamb said the reality of the situation is far from the distant dream described above. I find myself confronting the bitter truth that the vision remains a distant dream. With that, she blamed the stunted crypto adoption curve on the clear absence of human decency and moral conduct in the digital asset industry, rather than the lack of innovation or talent. In a tweet posted last year, Benedict Evan pointed out that something technical, confusing, and hard to use presents a barrier to mass market appeal. Nonetheless, Lamb blasted the hundreds of racist and sexist comments received in the last week alone. She said that many who claim to uphold righteous principles are the ones driving the abuse towards her. Innumerable individuals have sexually degraded me and dismissed me as a figurehead. Several have threatened me. Yesterday, I was told that I should take my own life. Lamb said another factor is the nature of social media that lacks consequences for abusive behavior, resulting in a toxic culture of rampant slander, defamation, and falsehoods. She signed off calling for more unity and standing up to corrosive culture and gender discrimination. So the crypto community responds. At Fatman Terra played down Lamb's post, saying it was likely the OpenX marketing team who are ironically some of the most violently sexist people. He added that Lamb does not represent women in the crypto space. Similarly, Ape Durden pointed out that gender is not the issue here. Instead, any abuse she had received was by proxy intended for Three Arrows Capital founders Suzu, Kyle Davis, and CoinFlex co-founder Mark Lamb. Literally, no one cares what gender she is. They care about the owners behind her using her as a puppet. LOL. Following the approval by the Seychelles court, the CoinFlex exchange now rebranded to OpenX, with the Flex token being adopted by the new entity. Mark Lamb explained that liquidity troubles at CoinFlex were a result of betrayal by Roger Ver, who Mark considered a friend and trusted figure at one time. Meanwhile, 3AC, Three Arrows Capital, filed Chapter 15 bankruptcy in July 1st of 2022, with Zoo and Davies going AWOL, leaving creditors in the lurch. CoinFlex aims to tap into the bankruptcy claims market by tokenizing balances used by users by bankrupt CeFi platforms. This service has yet to roll out, even though the exchange is live for spot and perpetual trading. So, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about Ms. Lamb's claims, but I can say that, there is some truth to the toxicity in this industry. And furthermore, this industry has not done right by our community. And, just kind of piggybacking off of this, I'd like to make an announcement. Due to the fact that this industry has not given back enough to this community, our community, I, for one, would like to change that. And the special announcement goes in line with the announcement of my new show here on Black USA News, which is called the Black Blockchain Brunch. And it is coming to you immediately following this episode of Black USA Crypto News. And I will talk more about what the show is all about and why I'm doing it. So please join me either now or later in the archives. Hope to see you there and hope to fill you in on this, what I hope to be a very important program. Thank you so much. So tap out so you can tap back in. We'll see you here on Black USA News and all of our affiliate channels. Thanks for joining.